Hello, everyone. It's Charlton. Please subscribe to my channel. Tap the notification bell. I would appreciate it majorly. Okay, this is an exclusive over at the Daily Mail. Ruth Stiles, I believe is her name. She's actually in Salida, Colorado, and she spoke to this person, Jeff Puckett, who's a coworker or works for Barry Morphew, and he says that he was called up to Denver to for an emergency landscaping job. I think that's how he describes that. Barry described it to him Sunday morning, the morning before Suzanne Morphew went missing. And he claims he took over the same hotel room that Barry was staying at. He himself didn't get up there to Sunday evening. I don't know exactly what time. By that time, Suzanne Morphew had been reported missing. That was 5:45 p.m. where they called the police. The neighbor had gone to check on her, and Barry and her agreed that something's wrong, and they called the police. But so he spoke to this reporter from the Daily Mail, and he had a number of things to say about about the room and other things. So he got up there Sunday night, and he says that. And he took over the exact room that Barry was staying in. He says Barry had taken a shower. There were towels everywhere, and wet towels everywhere, or all over on the floor. And the room reeked of bleach. I mean, that's the main thing, And obviously, many people will automatically assume that that's an indication that Barry was trying to eliminate evidence, clean. Traces of blood, or worse, or who knows, But normally, whenever bleach is detected in some kind of disappearance, missing persons case, people naturally assume that the individual was trying to clean up blood. So that's what he reports. He also reports having found, I think, a stack of mail and different paperwork there, one of which had something to do with property insurance, as he describes it. And he says he handed all this over to investigators, to the FBI, at some point. And he himself returned after sitting up there for 2 days, and never actually ended performing any work. He was basically called home, and he returned on the 12th, Tuesday. I was familiar with this individual. His name's Jeff Puckett. I don't even know if I said that. I was familiar with him from Facebook. There was a point when a couple of Barry Morphew's employees were being looked at by just regular people who were interested in this case, and because of the national attention that it's received, him and another person who I think works for Barry Morphew. The other individual actually says he works for Sunset Landscaping, or Sunset Farms LLC, and I don't think he does on his Facebook page. But I had looked at them, and a lot of people were saying, very accusatory things on the other individuals' timeline. This is back when they were digging at the job site, at the site that's a little east of Salida. I believe it's on Vanderveer Road and County Line Road 105, right on the Arkansas River. There's a construction site where a foundation had recently been laid, and supposedly Barry had done the dirt work, had laid the dirt before the foundation was poured, and so the authorities were digging there for a number of days. And a lot of people were saying that some of Barry's employees were in custody, as well as Barry were, even though that turned out to be false. But I was familiar with him then. Actually, one of the things I had noted in one of my other videos is that this individual changed his profile picture on right around that time, right around the 12th. I'm fairly certain that's the day he changed his profile picture, where he was pictured behind what looked like a job site. Not necessarily the job site where the authorities were digging on Arkansas River. I have no idea where it was, where it was lightly snowed, a little dusting of like an inch of snow. But I found it unusual that he had changed his profile picture on that date, 2 days after they went missing. And this is all when they were digging around there, and people were looking at these, online. People were talking about the employees of Barry Morphew potentially being in custody. So it just caught my attention. And I have different views on that, but so So where was I? So he returned on that day, actually. That's the day he changed his profile picture. From whatever it was, whatever that picture was of himself in the background, what it looked like, some kind of field or a construction site. Not the one, I don't know if it's the one that where they ultimately ended up digging. I don't necessarily think it was. But he changed it to a previous profile picture. He didn't change it to something new. He changed it to what was his banner, and at some point that banner was his profile picture, months before. Whatever. So that's what's reported in this Daily Mail piece. I'll read through a bit of it. He himself, he basically expresses that he feels like this was this landscape job, just outside of Denver. I think Broomfield is the small town where he was staying at the hotel Barry was, and where he himself stayed. He says it feels like it was set up as an alibi. And well, let's just quickly read through that. I have some issues with these things. I do. I don't necessarily believe the same thing that everybody else seems to be believing, and I actually, very strangely, even still, actually think that Suzanne is still alive. That's my view. And so, but Jeff, it says that. Now DailyMail.com can reveal that a co-worker of Barry's took over his Holiday Inn hotel room on May 10th and found it scattered with wet towels and stinking of chlorine. Jeff Puckett, 49, that's the person, the co-worker of Salida, Colorado, said he was ordered to Denver by Barry that morning, Sunday morning, but didn't see him because he had already left due to a family emergency. Speaking in an exclusive interview, Puckett told DailyMail.com, "I got there Sunday night and the room smelled like chlorine, real bad. It was his room and he'd taken a shower. His towels were all over the floor." A manager at the $92 a night property confirmed to DailyMail.com that they do not use chlorine to clean guest rooms and have handed security footage from the weekend of May 9th to police. Puckett also said he discovered a pile of mail in the room, including a letter about property insurance, and later turned it over to the FBI. He said, "I found some mail in the hotel room. His mail was in there, and I gave it to the FBI. I thought it was kind of odd to have it there." I assume, let me stop real quick right there. I assume Barry just never returned to that room, so that's why he collected the belongings of the room and brought it back to Salida or Maysville, wherever he lives outside of Salida, and then ultimately ended up handing it over to the FBI. Some of it was from an insurance company, like insuring your property, that kind of thing. DailyMail.com can also reveal Barry was granted guardianship of Suzanne in order to sell a property in their native Indiana on Tuesday after a 30-minute Zoom hearing. That information's been out there for some time, that Barry had applied for guardianship, at some point after Suzanne going missing, to basically finalize the sale of a rental property that they still owned in Alexandria, not Alexandria, Noblesville, or the town outside of Indianapolis where they live. I mean, there's a number of different small towns. One's Noblesville. What was the other one? I forget. Anyways, so that's been reported. So, and I don't know. I don't find that terribly odd. Other than, I don't know. I'll get to that at the end. So, sorry. So let me continue. Despite being told the landscaping work was urgent, Puckett told DailyMail.com that he arrived to find no tools and was left to wait around the hotel for days, never actually visiting the job site. He said he returned to Salida on Tuesday after Suzanne disappeared and has not heard from Barry since, although he was paid. And that's pretty much the extent of what he said to this reporter. As a result, He says the experience has left him suspicious. Sorry, there's a little bit more. It's kind of weird, he told DailyMail.com. My first thought was that this must be like an alibi. That's what it felt like. He added, I hope they find her alive, but it's been a long time. All of Puckett's information has been passed to police by DailyMail.com. The new revelations come out a week after Barry gave his first interview in which he denied having anything to do with his wife's disappearance almost 4 months ago. So there's a number of different, some family members who wanted to remain anonymous said that he refused to take 2 polygraphs and a voice analysis test. He says that he, was never asked to do that, I think. And, the brother has spoken to reporters recently and is planning on putting together a volunteer search team himself and heading back out to Salida, Colorado, to search for his sister. I'm not sure the date that he has set up for that, and he's asking for volunteers of all kinds. So that's the latest information. I do have a number of different problems. I don't even know if I said that. I think I did. That I actually think Suzanne's alive. I know nobody thinks that, and My problem with this latest piece of information that the room reeked of bleach is that what everything is suggesting is that Barry planned this. That everyone seems to be suggesting that Barry is the one who's responsible for her disappearance and potentially, may have killed her. But it seems, if that's the case, that this was very well thought out and ahead of time, and because the daughters were away on a camping trip in Idaho, which is a fair amount, is a distance away. It's like 10 hours or more, just to get to the border of Idaho. And we don't know when they were returning, if they had already started returning Saturday and it was taking 2 days to drive. And we're going to drive halfway Saturday and the other half on Sunday, but nevertheless, they were away on a camping trip, and they would be gone for this weekend. Even though this guy thinks that this felt like an alibi to him. There must have been a landscaping job. I don't even know if I said it, but he was supposedly had one lined up with RTD Denver Transport, which is the public transit company for Denver. It's a huge organization, as I understand it, and I don't know what kind of job he was doing with them, but it sounds like it would have been sizable. Nevertheless, again, if there was no job, that would have been, that would be known, and that would be the end of his alibi. So I assume there was an actual landscaping job, and it's as though these circumstances allowed for her disappearance and murder, if that's what people are suggesting of Barry Morphew. So it would have been thought of well in advance. Either that, or these things were all just going on, and he just got super lucky that all these things were lined up for him when some kind of violent encounter happened between him and his wife. If people are just assuming he had something to do with her disappearance and killed her. My point being that if it was planned in advance and well thought out, because you have the girls being away for the weekend, a landscape job up in Denver that would have provided an alibi and so forth, and other things, then why would you be so stupid as to, have an employee staying in a room that reeks of chlorine, which everyone automatically assumes is to eliminate evidence and get rid of traces of blood. Why would you make that kind of stupid mistake if you had already kind of thought all this out through very carefully? And there's many other things. The fact that she was, it was discovered that she was missing was Mother's Day around 5:45 p.m. is when they called the police. That's an opportune time, it seems to me, that for her to go, if somebody had wanted her, wished her harm, had wanted to harm her, that would have been the perfect time for at least to be discovered, because it was Mother's Day evening, Sunday. people would have been in their homes having dinner, preparing dinner for Mother's Day, and there would have been a few people on the road. Just another instance of all these things that sort of line up for the opportune crime. And again, if this stuff was all thought through, why would you be so stupid as to have one of your employees come up to stay in your room that reeks of bleach, right after you maybe supposedly murdered your wife? Hotel workers, same thing, whatever. They would have smelt it too. So why would you make that dumb of a mistake? So that's the problem I have with it. And I don't necessarily have the answer for that. The other thing is selling property. Okay. Like him having the insurance paperwork there. And it's not life insurance. It's some kind of property insurance as he described it. So, and he ultimately ended up selling property that I think they were in the process of selling to begin with, and they were just closing on the deal, which is very, very possible. But if you were planning on killing your wife, and I don't know that you would be lining up liquidating assets to get cash as quickly as possible right around the same time that you were supposedly killing your wife. I mean, that's not how I don't think most people would do it. Who knows what they could have just been selling the home. They had moved from Indiana, I think in 2018, over 2 years ago, or around 2 years ago. So tying up loose ends and stuff like that, I just doesn't sound like part of a murder scheme. Getting cash at the same time that a person would go missing. So that's my questions about it, my problems with it, and that's the story there. That is the story there, man. Thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe to my channel. Give me a like down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Later, man.